Any questions from last week? All right. Chapter 3, the virus of attachment. Topic for attachment is calamitous. Subtopic religion. Now, before we understand what Swamiji is saying, we have to have some background. Because a lot of people, especially youngsters, they're confused, and rightly so. And why I'm saying confused? Because they look at the chaos which is happening in the name of religion. It is misunderstanding of religion. This is what you have to understand. Religion is nothing but science of spiritual evolution. And from day to day point of view, from practical point of view, it is nothing but eternal principles of life and living, without which you and I cannot manage our life. Like guidelines, how can you live your life without these guidelines? You'll be lost. Then what's the difference between other creatures and us? So it is misunderstanding of religion which is creating chaos in the society. It has been always so. So the word religion is derived from two words, re and ligare. I think it's a Latin derivation. Re means again, ligare means unite. So the word religion means reunite, unite again with the divinity from which we all are separated. This is a fact of life, whether you accept it or not, understand it or not, it's a fact of life, which from our standpoint we may not understand. But those who have reached that state, like different masters in human history, at different times and in different places, so they understood this by their own experience when they gained their identity. So therefore, they have been trying to tell us that you are that truth, you are that divinity, but you have lost your identity. So they gave out that knowledge in a different way as per the caliber of the audience or students they were addressing. But the bottom line is same message they have been giving us. As far as Vedanta is concerned, it is called as Brahma Vidya. Those who attend Bhagavad Gita, they will know this word. End of each chapter, we chant, Brahma Vidya, the science of spiritual evolution, science of knowing Brahman, supreme reality. And forget about what all scriptures are saying, what these great masters are saying. You will not be content till you regain your divinity, because that is your original nature. We often give that spring example, coiled spring example. If you compress it, 4 feet coiled spring, you compress it to 1 foot, there is tremendous pressure on your palm, upward pressure. So that is happening to everybody. There is that tremendous pressure to find happiness in life by trying to fulfill your desires. When you belong to the state of total contentment, then from where these desires are popping up, that's the pressure. And it will remain no matter what kind of a life you have, even best of everything you have, that pressure will not go away. So, according to you, you have lost your identity. When we explain this, you can start analyzing. Number one. And all your problems are due to loss of identity, meaning you don't know you are that truth, you are that divinity. Therefore, you do not know how to relate to the world. It is cause and effect. Somebody may have problem in the relationship, another person may have problem as far as his finances are concerned, that frustration. Third person may complain about everything, whatever the problems, internal and external. The root cause is you have lost your identity and therefore you do not know how to relate to the world. So, hardly anyone understands this. So, therefore, people have been clashing with each other forever, past, present, future. Hope not in future, but if we don't do anything, it will continue. Even if you carefully analyze, let's say, major clashes in the world, chances are most of these clashes, I don't know, perhaps 80% of these clashes, they are because of religion, misunderstanding of religion. And it has been, I mean, such a beautiful thing. Noble knowledge has been reduced to what? Like superstition, mechanical rituals, or blind belief or beliefs, isn't it? So you take away these three, there is no religion left. So that means there is nothing. It has got nothing to do with religion. So many superstitions are floating around in the name of religion. There's a blind belief, and mechanically people are following rituals. So you take away these three, there is no religion left. And true religion has got nothing to do with it. It's nothing but that knowledge, the eternal principles. So, with this background, we'll carefully read this subtopic.
Religion. Another significant aftermath of attachment is the alarming consequences of people's wrong approach to religion. The compulsive attachment to one's religion has been the greatest setback to peace and harmony in human history. It has broken up the human race into numerous factions and sections, diverse sects and creeds. It has left human beings confused and confounded in a maze littered with bitterness and animosity. Practically all religious practices around the world are offshoots of a fanatic attachment to the non essentials of religion. In their ignorance, people have embraced the body and discarded the very soul of religion. And the monumental edifices of religion stand out everywhere as a mockery to the essential spiritual reality. All of it arising from attachment to one's religion. And any form of attachment springs from the lack of intellect and its application in life. Without the intellect, people fail to understand the underlying principle and practice of true religion. Neither do the custodians of religion possess an intellect to educate the masses on the quintessence of religion and its role in human life. Self proclaimed religious heads, teachers, and preachers, without grasping the sublime spiritual truths, have led innocent followers into myriads of superstitious beliefs and meaningless rituals.
See, let's not lose our focus. What is the title of the book? I know we started almost 3 months back, but boss, what is the title of the book?
Low cost of attachment.
Holocaust of Attachment, Disastrous Consequences of Attachment. So, one by one, we are analyzing the major areas of attachment. So, here we are studying in this topic how attachment is calamitous. So, we talked about attachment to wealth, attachment to spouse or children, relationships. So, here is talking about attachment to one's religion. So, what is the root cause of any attachment? So, you must understand the cause. The manifestations could be many. But what is the cause of any attachment?
Self-centeredness.
Mhm.
Lack of intellect.
The mind has overpowered due to weak intellect. So, whatever you contact, mind will get attached to that. Doesn't matter what you contact. A person with a weak intellect starts family, he will get attached to family, become possessive about it. Goes into a profession, will be attached to that. Start earning money, he will be attached to that. He gains power, he will be attached to power. He gives up everything, comes to religion, he'll be attached to religion. This is what we see happening. There are people who get fed up of life and they believe that they will find peace in religion. The attachment doesn't go. They become attached to religion, and attachment to religion is deadliest. It's not easy to overcome among all attachments. So the mind is the culprit. So that's the thought flow. And this is what he's telling us. So who is going to guide you? Nobody. Right from top to bottom, everybody is attached. The blind is leading the blind. Therefore, we find all chaos. So called custodians of religion, they are supposed to guide us. But where are such true leaders? I'm not saying there is nobody. That's not Swamiji is saying, but it's handful of people. And nobody is going to listen to them because 90%, 95% are following wrong leaders, so called leaders. So that's the analysis. And then he explains in the next paragraph what is true religion. So it's a very systematic analysis.
The human pyramid rises from no intellect to least intellect, lesser intellect, and high intellect. To offset the negative fallout of religious practices, it is of prime importance to understand the two distinct aspects of religion. One being the philosophic literature, the other its ritualistic appendage. The philosophy is the kernel of religion. Religion, bereft of its philosophy, is an empty shell. The philosophic literature is terse, cryptic, subtle, designed for the high intellects to learn its sublime truths and propagate. The spiritually inclined intellects are obliged to delve deep into the literature, assimilate, imbibe its philosophy. Thereafter, explain the truths therein to the lesser intellects who are unable to directly grasp the subtle message. They, in turn, pass it on to still lesser intellects using examples, episodes, stories to convey its deeper import. Thus, the knowledge should reach the lowest category of intellects, and those who lack intellect in the human pyramid are given certain ritualistic practices symbolizing the spiritual message. The idea is to allow them to grow up to a gradual understanding of the meaning and purpose of the ritual. But the masses follow the ritual with no clue of its origin and purpose. Such practices are as absurd as a family hoisting the national flag every morning and indulging in anti national activities the rest of the day. However, the ritualistic practices, though blind, ought not to be eliminated as they would serve the society to keep the spirit of religion alive.
So, if you understand this paragraph, you understood everything. There's so much of clarity here. So, there are two essential aspects of any religion. That is how it is packaged. And he's giving the reason why it is so. Number one is philosophy. Philosophy is nothing but eternal truths. When we say eternal truths, meaning is a fact of life. They're not subjective opinions, it's a fact of life. Law of gravity is not Newton's subjective opinion, it's a fact of life. It's a scientific law. So, similarly, philosophy of any religion is based on or is nothing but eternal truths, which is same for all the religions. This is what you need to understand. What Christ spoke, exactly same thing Krishna is saying. What Krishna is saying, same thing Lord Rama is saying. The way they explain may be different, depends on the audience. If you go to the Upanishadic masters, they are seekers who are high caliber students. So it's almost like explaining E is equal to mc square. But that was their capacity. They could grasp it. So philosophy of any religion is same. It is nothing but eternal principles of life and living. Are you following? But as far as rituals are concerned, obviously they differ from place to place. And rituals, that's what he's explaining, they are meant for the non-thinkers. Everybody cannot relate to the knowledge. It's quite subtle. Those who are attending Bhagavad Gita, soon we may try take up Upanishad also in summer. So especially last three verses, I mean, I could see the reaction of some new people, that they couldn't relate to it. You can't blame them. I mean, first time you come and suddenly you're listening to illusion and we are trying to explain that with a refraction of light. How many people can relate to that? It's quite subtle, it's quite terse. So, but having said that, they definitely need something. That fixation of thought is required. So, rituals are meant for people who are non thinkers, who don't have intellect. And unfortunately, what is happening, even those who have intellect, even relatively speaking, they're hanging on to rituals. That's the paradox. So, it's like you're eating a food which is not meant for you. It becomes quite simple. You're doing an exercise which is not meant for you. And any subject is like that. So if you look at that human pyramid, it explains it quite well. On the top are the highest intellect, then lesser intellect, least intellect, and no intellect. So this knowledge given out by masters, where did they get this knowledge? It's like asking, how did Newton get law of gravity? Apples have been falling from the tree for millions of years, but you need somebody of Newton's caliber to understand and correlate that cause and effect. So similarly, these great masters got this knowledge from the world, from day-to-day experiences, from observation. But you and I cannot do that. Are you following? So you need somebody of the caliber of Christ or Krishna or Buddha or these Upanishadic masters to understand these truths, subtle truths. World is an illusion. Now, who can understand that? Only a person who has crossed over the illusion. So these are the giant intellects, all these spiritual masters. So they got this knowledge and they passed it on to people who had, again, a powerful intellect. Not like them, but still they had powerful intellect. And they in turn passed it on to people who had relatively less intellect. Like this, it has been passed on for generations. This is how it was supposed to be. That's the model. And any subject is like that. It's nothing to do with religion, isn't it? See the aeroplane in which we all fly. I mean, what technology? But you and I cannot build the aircraft. Somebody thought about it. Scientists, not one technology. I mean, so many things put together. So there are a handful of people, scientists of that caliber. They can put it together, but then they have to explain it to next level. Let's say the manager level. So they also have got powerful intellect. They in turn pass it on to somebody at the level of supervisor, less intellect. Then it comes to the shop floor, and maybe they in turn pass it on to new trainees or whatever. So any subject is like that. Are you with me? Is somebody at the shop floor level, you can put him in a discussion where they are discussing about the new aircraft, the new technology. I mean, he won't be able to relate to it. It's not his fault. The building, the house in which we are living, it is standing on what? Or these giant building stadiums we see, airports we see, they are standing on what? Simple question.
A solid foundation.
Yeah, solid foundation of what?
Um, Knowledge built over time.
Knowledge, that technology, laws of physics, laws of mathematics, laws of engineering. But you and I don't understand this. Can we build a house? Can we build a stadium? We can't. So you need somebody of that level, and that person will pass it on to the next level. I wish Shailesh Bhai was here. I mean, he's the one who attends our classes, Shailesh Bhai and Lakshmiji. This DTW airport, McNamara airport, he was one of the main architects of that. And there's another famous stadium, I think, in Ann Arbor or somewhere. So part of the original team which conceived that. So you need somebody of that caliber. So you can't have shop floor guys in that discussion. They won't understand that. So people of that caliber who have understood the knowledge passed on from the scientists. There are all these great scientists even above them. At least they are able to understand and relate to them. So they get together in a board meeting, they discuss the plans, nuts and bolts of how to build McNamara airport. Then obviously they have to pass it on to next level, next level, next level. This is how it percolates down. Exactly same principle is applicable when it comes to religion. So all these eternal principles, they are so subtle, they are so fine, they're so terse. Only great masters, somebody of super intellect can understand by observing the world, and then they can correlate. But then obviously they pass it on to next, less intellect, less intellect, less intellect. I mean, this is what we are doing now. How many of us can write the book Holocaust of Attachment? How many of us can write Vedanta treatise, the eternities? How many of us can comment on Bhagavad Gita? Even when it is explained to us, the subtle concepts, we know. I mean, it's not easy, you know. So it has to be explained to us, but you have grasped it, and you have to pass it on to the people who don't have that kind of understanding. Understood, provided they want to know. This is how it has been passed on to children. Like you tell them stories. You can't tell them the subtle philosophy. I'm talking about 8, 10, 12, 13, 14 years. So you grasp this knowledge and you tell them the story with a moral. Even for lesser intellect, same thing applies. See, in India, we have something called as Puranas. These are all stories. Vishnu Purana, this Purana, that Purana, Bhagavatam, all these are stories. But these stories, they have moral. So it is for the lesser intellect. But then, even there, those who have understood the message, they should grasp it and explain it to, let's say, children or young adults. So that's the model. But since nobody has knowledge, you see the chaos. So people are hanging on to what? Your rituals. But interesting point he's making is, see, he's saying the last paragraph, however, the ritualistic practices, though blind, most people follow it blindly, they ought not to be eliminated, as they would serve society to keep the spirit of religion alive. A very important point. There is people who have capacity to think, you know, often they criticize what is all this nonsense going on. People, why do you go to church? Why do you go to temple? Why do you celebrate Diwali? Why do you celebrate Christmas? Why this? Why that? So it's like saying, why do we need kindergarten school? Abolish all kindergarten school and I don't know, first, second, third, fourth, fifth grade. Abolish this. It's a waste of time. For who? You have grown out of it. You don't need kindergarten. You don't need a lower grade of school. But there are students, young people, they need that. They have to go through kindergarten. They need middle school, high school, or whatever you call it. So it will be as absurd as that. So even if people they follow blindly rituals, at least there is some kind of fixation, there is some kind of thought, okay, there is some supreme reality which I don't understand. So very carefully you need to understand this. But like I said before, unfortunately, people who are capable of thinking, they are also hanging on to rituals. I hope I am making myself clear. So therefore, you find sometimes we try to give a jolt to people. Those who are doing e-learning, Swamiji gives that jolt from time to time. It's not to criticize. The same person will say, okay, you do rituals. It depends on whom. But those who are on the fence, they need that push. Sometimes even I do that here. It's not meant to criticize rituals. You have to follow it very carefully. Somebody who does not need rituals, and that person is getting, you can see is attached to the ritual. He is not capable of understanding that. She is not capable of understanding that. Nobody can tell him or her. Spouse can't tell. Children can't tell. Nobody can tell. Then, unfortunately, I have to do that job. So, therefore, we give that jolt once in a while. It's not to criticize. It is applicable for particular set of people. But if somebody is ritualistic, then that person needs that. But he has to come out of rituals. Are you with me? And that too, rituals, they have a message. It's not that they are blind. See, for example, I'm wearing this dot on my forehead. I mean, each time I take a class, I do that. It's just a ritual, but what is the meaning? There's a meaning behind that. I'm wearing this mala. All religions, they have rosary. I mean, there is a symbolism behind that. Why do you kneel in front of an altar? It's a ritual. I mean, there is a meaning behind that. Why do you light a candle? It's a ritual. There is a meaning behind that. So that's the minimum you're supposed to know. It's not known, unfortunately, but he's saying it's okay. Even if people are following it blindly, follow it. Doesn't matter. With the hope that one day they will grow. One day they will come out of these blind ritualistic practices. Yes, for that, obviously, knowledge is required. So, important point, you cannot eliminate rituals. There's a clash going on. It's like in the initial stage when you're learning bicycles. Nowadays, I don't see, but when I was growing up, small bicycles, it has got two supporting wheels on the side. Have you seen that? I'm sure it must be available since I don't interact with kids, so I don't see it. But I had that, when I was in first or second grade. So the child doesn't fall. But once you become an expert, then why would you ride that bicycle? It will be absurd. You're participating in, I don't know, that famous French bicycle race. What is it called? There's a name for that. It's very tough.
French Open.
And no, the bicycle, it's called French Open only. Yeah?
Tour de France.
Tour de France.
Right.
Imagine at that level, all of them are having that bicycle with two supporting thing. I mean, it will look like a circus, not Tour de France. Exactly same thing is happening. You have the intellect, you have the capacity, and what are you doing? Oh, I went to India for I don't know, some temple. Some people, they go all the way. I'm not saying you should not. If you need that, obviously you need that. Child needs some kind of a support to walk. What is it called? I don't know. Walker, right? A 2, 3 year old child needs a walker. But imagine you and I are going for a walk. Everybody's having a walker. How will it look? The sight itself will be ridiculous. Same thing is happening when it comes to religion. If you have eyes, you understand. It's like it's a circus which is going on. But he's saying it's okay, let it be. At least there is some kind of an attempt. Follow it very carefully. So, if you master that graph, the human pyramid, you have understood everything. Absolutely no problem. Whatever doubts you have, they can be answered, clarified by using that pyramid. So, are we okay? Any questions? Take your time. I'll give you a few minutes.
In that religion, in the middle, there is a line that says, in their ignorance, people have embraced the body and discarded the very soul of religion. So the body is basically rituals and the very soul is the philosophy. Is that what it means,
Correct.
Sumiji?
Correct.
Okay.
It's like loving your family, the photograph of your family. Religiously, every day you worship. When family is there is no thought on family. We are just relating to the photograph. It is as absurd as that. photograph without family has got no meaning. Any doubts? All clear? Everybody is so clear. Great. I am happy. So then the next three topics, it is a solution. See, so far he has analyzed the problem. Then what's the solution? The solution is intellect. But systematically he is going to explain to us. So we'll read the entire topic, the antivirus.
The antivirus. Thus, barring a few rare exceptions, the entire humanity is inflicted with the deadly virus of attachment and possessiveness. The virus has practically destroyed human equation with wealth, woman, children, religion, and the rest of the world. It has rendered life miserable with its attendant trial and tribulation, stress and strain. The antivirus for this all-consuming malady is a strong intellect. It is the mind that causes all the havoc. Your mind gets attracted and attached to virtually anything it alights on. So you would need a powerful intellect to control, govern, and not let the mind slip into such attachment. But for centuries, the intellect has remained unattended, undeveloped, consequently rendered too weak to be able to prevent the mind from cultivating attachments. And the prevalent educational system in schools and universities has had no program to build, develop, strengthen the human intellect. Instead, the educational institutions have been focusing their attention on providing knowledge of various subjects. The knowledge thus acquired would provide one with intelligence, but it will not build one's intellect. Intellect is distinct and different from intelligence. The educators, teachers, parents do not seem to be aware of this vital difference. All their interest is focused upon selecting what they believe as the best school or university for their kids' education. So the entire educational system is directed to merely gaining past knowledge. There is no thought or attempt at building, strengthening the intellect. Consequently, the mind remains predominant everywhere, and the trait of attachment runs through every family. The children grow up with this malady, and they in turn pass it on to their young ones. Thus, the virus of attachment and possessiveness has corroded, demolished the human race. Notwithstanding all the damage done, human beings remain incognizant of their behavioral pattern. And there is no attempt to investigate the damage. The intellect continues to remain weak, while the mind freely indulges in the world to develop a wide range of attachment and possessiveness.
So, what is the main message here?
Differentiation between intellect and intelligence, and how do you improve your intellect? And how does the current situation, the education, the environment, and all are not helping in doing so? How should they make sure that the intellect is strengthened rather than the intelligence, which is knowledge, but intellect is wisdom, knowledge converted to wisdom?
What else?
That we're focusing on the wrong thing. We think intelligence is what we should be focusing on, but it's truly more the intellect that is what should be focused on.
Mm-hmm.
But Amitji, didn't
Mm-hmm.
you make a point that intellect is self-attained, not given?
Mm-hmm. Correct. So that's the problem, no? See, even now, what I am giving you, what Swamiji is giving you, all these great masters are giving you is intelligence. So nobody can give you intellect. That's the point. You need to build it with your own efforts. So nobody is aware of this. So people are bombarded with information only, intelligence only. That's the problem in any education system, including religious education. That's the point. So the problem is mind. As long as mind is powerful, intellect is weak, by default, it will be attached to objects and beings of the world, anything tangible or intangible. And there is nothing you can do about it. So the solution, therefore, is saying antivirus is intellect. There is no other thing. Problems could be 100 million, but solution is only one, the intellect, powerful intellect. Say a few hundred years back, millions of people used to die because of simple disease like tuberculosis or plague, the famous thing, Spanish plague or whatever. Millions and millions of people died. Nobody could do anything. But somebody found out the cause, the cure. I mean, now what is tuberculosis? We don't even talk about it. What is plague? I mean, few shots you take and you're done. But that's not what is happening as far as attachment is concerned, and nobody knows it. That's the problem. So, whatever problems you are seeing in the world in any field, bottom line is attachment, possessiveness. And it has been carried on for centuries. Why it is so? Because how will people educate themselves when they don't know the difference between intelligence and intellect? Intelligence meaning information. So that's the gist of this topic. And then he explains it further. He just, it's an introduction. And I'm sure most of you have done Somaji's book, The Fall of the Human Intellect. So it's quite straightforward. So you may not find it gripping. You heard it 100 times, but if somebody is new, immediately his ears will prick. Oh, wow, yeah, it makes sense now. So please continue the next topic. He explains it further. intellect versus intelligence.
Intellect versus intelligence. The educational bodies are solely engaged in providing students with mere information, knowledge laid down by predecessors, which furnishes students with sheer intelligence. No more. Intelligence, no doubt, is necessary to make a living, but it is not to be acquired at the expense of building the all important intellect. The external pressures, more so from parents, compel the young to gain just different branches of knowledge. Thus, following the trend set by predecessors, the youth woo the educational institutions. One joins the medical school to pursue the knowledge of medicine, another the engineering school to acquire the knowledge of engineering, a third attains the knowledge of law, etc. All these knowledges imparted by various schools can provide one with intelligence, but not strengthen the intellect. Even the pioneers of education have failed to understand the distinction between intellect and intelligence. As a result, humans blunder in acquiring intelligence without even attempting to build the intellect. Intelligence is a mere storage of information, knowledge acquired from external sources and educational institutions, from teachers and textbooks. While the intellect is developed by individual effort through exercising one's faculty of questioning, thinking, reasoning, it has to be done alongside the general practice of acquiring knowledge. Educated people ought to understand the important role of the intellect. You need the intellect even to use the intelligence acquired. Countless doctors have graduated from medical schools, but the rare one has discovered a life-saving drug or found the technique of transplanting an organ. So too, numerous engineers have emerged from engineering schools, but the rare one has created a wonder like the Panama Canal or the Euro Channel Tunnel. Such outstanding achievements are possible only by a powerful intellect. Hence, it is all the more important for humans to build a strong intellect. The intellect alone can help you sort out your life's problems and find peace and happiness, material and spiritual progress.
Simple but very powerful topic. I mean, everybody knows here. Most of you are familiar with the subject, with the concept. He is telling us what is the role of the intellect. So, even to apply your knowledge, you need an intellect. You may go to a best school, business school, law school, medical school. They give you maybe the best information. But to absorb that and apply that and become proficient in that field, you need powerful intellect, without which nothing is going to happen. Number one, that's the role of the intellect. Second is to supervise your mind. Mind is a culprit. If you're having problem in a relationship, is because of mind. You better understand it. Why can't you get along with your spouse, children, or family, or your colleague? Mind has overpowered your personality. So to manage your mind's emotions, likes and dislikes, whims and fancies, what do you need? You need powerful intellect. You may be successful, but if you can't manage your mind, I mean, life will be chaotic. So to manage anything, you need powerful intellect. Even to manage a nation, what you need is a powerful intellect. In few weeks back, we got a test of that. I'm not discussing politics here, please. I'm cautioning you. Two heads of state, they met. We saw what chaos. It is always happening. Therefore, wars they go on. You and I don't see that. I mean, how is it possible? It's because the mind completely takes over. I'm not saying who is right, who is wrong, but it's a common sense. I mean, will you fight with your boss? I mean, your life is dependent on him. You're paying a mortgage, your children are educated, and you go and pick up a fight with your boss. I mean, ounce of intellect is required to understand that. So to supervise mind, see, we don't blame anybody. I mean, we must sympathize with people. I mean, poor person. I mean, what else can happen? What else do you expect? It is happening to all of us. But when somebody is in high position, it is seen and they talk about it. Nobody talks about the mess you and I create. That's the only difference. You need a powerful intellect. It means nothing but clarity to manage every facet of your life, your finances, decision about your profession, how to maintain a house, whether you need a house, where to invest money. For everything, you need clarity. Whether to have children, if yes, how to relate to them. So, every facet of your life, you need to manage your life, you need intellect, which is nothing but clarity and right choice of action. Everybody is faced at the beginning of the fork throughout our life, meaning you have a choice to go here or there. So, how will you take decisions? You have that choice of action throughout your life, but on what basis you are deciding? 90% or perhaps, I don't know, more decisions you make, they are mind based. So, therefore, you find there's chaos as far as your personal life, professional life, finances is concerned. Why? Well, you don't know to make a right choice because intellect is weak. So therefore you need to build your intellect. And then the next topic, it just is very easy. He just tells us what you need is a systematic study and reflection. That's the only way it will build your intellect. And that's what we are trying to do. So these two or three topics, they are actually meant for discussion. There is not much for me to explain here. Are you with me? I mean, what can I explain? It's so beautifully explained. That is why we have other forums other than study class. Like every Thursday we have small group discussion. Unless and until you discuss, I mean, how will you understand these concepts? Then there is an opportunity to clarify if you don't understand. So it's all part of building intellect. So I think it will take us maybe 7 to 8 minutes. Quickly, we'll read this entire topic so that we can start with a fresh chapter next week. We got 6 7 minutes. It's okay.
Develop your intellect. Human beings have failed to develop the intellect, much less use it in their lives. They merely use the mind impulsively and follow a herd instinct all through life. None seems to query the predecessor's lifestyle. But when the younger generation do question, challenge any procedure adopted by the seniors, they are subdued with authority. As a result, both the young and the old are deprived of the life-guiding, life-saving equipment, the intellect. With the loss of intellect, human beings face distress, depression, and impending destruction. A verse in the scripture cautions humanity: you lose your intellect, you perish. Hence, the primary obligation to set right one's life is to build a strong intellect. The intellect is provided to human beings alone and not to any other creature. Unlike the physical body, which is provided for both human and animal, the muscles of the body are gradually developed by both human and animal. The type of muscles that an adult has is not what the infant had. They are fully developed in the adult either consciously or unconsciously. When the muscles are neglected, people become invalid, immobile. Unfortunately, humans do not see this happening to the intellect. They commit the grave blunder in totally neglecting it. As a result, the human intellect remains unattended, undeveloped from the very beginning. And people have become helpless captives of their mind and its devastating attachments. The development of the intellect should commence at an early age, say around 7 years. The procedure involves two fundamental disciplines. 1. Do not let your mind accept anything for granted in your life. 2. Let the intellect question all the way through your life and accept only those that admit reason and logic. When the young follow these two procedures meticulously, they would start building their intellect. But none knew this discipline, much less observed it. However, children who were denied the early training could start from the age of 15 the study of Vedanta, the philosophic content of religion. The study has to be daily in the early hours of the morning. 3 books, especially designed by the author for initiates, are recommended to be covered in the following order. 1. The fall of the human intellect. 2. The holocaust of attachment. 3. Governing business and relationships. These books should help one strengthen the intellect and live a life of peace and comfort. Furthermore, to understand the human role in this challenging world and complete life's mission, one needs to carefully study the author's cardinal book, Vedanta Treatise, The Eternities. Therefore, the antidote for the menacing virus of attachment lies in strengthening the intellect. A powerful intellect will not allow the mind to develop any form of attachment. Thus, freed from all fetters, shackles in the world, a human can claim true liberation in life.
So, straightforward topic. So, what I would recommend, read these 3 topics. You have the whole week. And those who attend Thursday small group discussions. So you got so much of material here to think about. So this could be source of your questions. And so we'll start with the next chapter, chapter 4, attachment versus detachment, where he starts spelling out the difference. He spells out clearly. But if you have any doubts, we'll take it up at the beginning of next session from these 3 or 4 topics. So are we okay? So can Radha, Veera, Raji, Vijay stay back for 5 minutes?
Sure, Amitji.
Sure.
So I will see you next week, all of you. Good day.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank